Now we're ready to start placing the foundation walls under our house. And before we start doing that, let's take a look at what we have currently. If I spin this model around so we can see it, you can see that we have the outside walls here. What we're looking at here is the siding coming down. Even if I spin it around here, we can see the brick coming down here. And we're going to need something that's going to be able to support the brick here, as well as the underside here to support the actual structural members of our walls up above. So in order to be able to accomplish that, we need to go to our first floor view. Now in our first floor view, we can see all those different layers and materials pretty easily. The only problem is I have some nice big dark thick lines here. And in order to be able to see each individual layer of material, you need to make sure that you come up to your View tab and select on the Thin Lines tool. By doing that, you can see the individual pieces that make up this wall. Now the important thing for whenever we're going to be doing this foundation is making sure that we draw the foundation to the outside edge of our structural members. Now what's holding up this wall isn't actually the siding, it's the 2x4s that are inside of the interior of this wall. And that goes along this line and down, and along this line and down. So the foundation wall needs to be totally underneath this area in order to be able to hold the floor above it up without falling down. One thing though, and it's very tempting because in the first floor, one of the things that we had done was that we drew everything here in the first floor view. So it's very tempting to come into the basement view and just start drawing. But the first thing you'll notice is that you can't see the walls because they're up above. Experienced Revit users might try to come in and change the underlay in order to show the first floor and then start drawing around. The problem with that is if we zoom in here, you can tell that it's very difficult to tell where the structural members are going to be because it doesn't show it whenever you have an underlay. And it's vital that we know where the structural members are so that when we're drawing these walls around, that those walls are going to be at the right locations and not a few inches off and having the whole house collapse, which is never a good thing, obviously. I don't like to start off by drawing my basements, particularly when we're dealing with houses down in the basement level. Oftentimes I'll do it in the level up above, the level that we're actually supporting. Now where we have the underlay here that turned this on, I'm going to turn that back off because I don't really need it anymore. Move this up, change this to say none. You can see how it goes away. And now I'm going to go back to my first floor view. One setting that I need to make an adjustment to though in order to be able to see those walls down underneath, it's called the view range setting. And by clicking on the edit button right here, we can adjust that view range to see the level below, which goes to the top of foundation. I'll click on OK to that. Next, I'm going to start drawing in my basic foundation walls that go around the perimeter of this building. I'm going to come up here to the Home tab. I'm going to select the Wall command. Now I have to be very careful because if I'm going to be drawing on the first floor, it's going to try to put all these walls in, well, on the first floor. So I need to tell these walls that they need to actually go further down. Now, where I want to put these walls to is going to be where it has base constraint and it has first floor. I want to click there, and I'm going to bring it down to the farthest point down, and it's going to be the top of footing for the walkout. We will need to adjust these on some of these walls a little bit later on, but right now I'm just going to draw the walls all the way around the perimeter, and we can always make adjustments after the fact. Next, there's a base offset here. Well, we don't need a base offset because we don't need the bottom of the wall to be any place other than right on top of the top of footing for the walkout. So we're going to change this to be 0, so there is no base offset. The top constraint, whenever we're going to be doing a foundation wall, it should usually go up to the top of the foundation wall. So we're going to go up to the level, top of foundation. This information looks pretty good. So I'm going to start by coming in and drawing the wall. One thing we need to do though is make sure that we change this wall type to be an appropriate foundation wall type. And we have 3 different ones available to us. One's a foundation 8-inch. The foundation 8-inch is a typical 8-inch thick foundation wall, poured concrete. You have the foundation 8-inch finish. This is going to be a foundation wall that has a finish material on the inside of it. So if your walls have gypboard and some studs there in order to be able to hang your pictures on the wall and that sort of thing, this is the wall you want to use. There's also the foundation 12-inch finish. This one you only need to use down here. And the reason why you need this 12-inch foundation wall down here is to be able to support the brick that's been designed up above, and we can see that from the outside of our building. For the walls that we're going to be doing right now, I'm going to choose on this foundation 8-inch finish. and it can be adjusted later in places where it needs to be a slightly different wall type. Now I'm going to come over here. After I change these properties, I'm just going to verify that these properties are right. Usually they are. They still are. And I'm going to click this intersection right here. But first, I need to come up here where it has the location line, and it says finish face of the exterior. In reality, I really needed to say core face of the exterior. Why? Because by doing the core face, it's going to allow us to line up the structural members of the walls down below as well as the walls up above. This is the structural core here. So I'm going to click at that intersection point right there, and I'm going to move over in this direction. And I'm going to click again over here. You can see the foundation wall start to get drawn in. I'm going to move down. I'm going to pick this intersection right here. I'm going to move over, pick that intersection. And now it's just a game of connect the dots, essentially, just moving all the way around our building, picking those individual intersection points. And by doing this, we'll now have a foundation wall that's completely underneath the structural members of our house up above. Now, once you've went all the way around, you can hit escape a couple times to get out of the command, and you can take a look at it in 3D. If you spin your building around, you'll be able to see those foundation walls on the underneath side going down to the appropriate depth. Now we need to be able to move on and make adjustments to these walls in order to make sure that they completely support the brick up above and have the right structural capabilities to be able to hold our house up without the house falling down on itself.